to address us.
Shri A.N. Madhusudan, who is presiding over today's function, most honorable and very academically a great giant on his distinct, Professor Kumaraswamy, Dr. Vaman Acharya, I think for whom I have got the highest regards and venerations, Shri Rao, Dr. Sunil Deshpande, Shri Ashwin Rana, Shri Mohan Kumatkar and Shri Ishwar Theria, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen present here. It's indeed a matter of great honor, privilege and delight for me to be in the company of such distinguished people in Bangalore, a city which rightly has been described as I think one of the best in the country that we can all be proud of. I had the occasion of visiting this city for the last 50 years so many times, and every time I come here, it always makes me feel as if I'm visiting here for the first time. There is something very, very remarkable about it. There's always something new that strikes you. Spies are not supposed to speak. That is the first. They are supposed to the people who only have eyes, they have the ears, they have the hands, but they don't have the tongue. Dr. Acharya is a great patriot, a great civilizational warrior, but on top of it, he's also a very great communicator. It was indeed a great pleasure for me and an honor for me to have met him earlier and was deeply impressed. The conviction that he carries and his ability to make the people change. So he can make people like me change from the silent spectators to become more vocal practitioners. That's all beautiful. Otherwise, I very rightly said by some people of my ilk probably do not get into the public life and probably get into the oblivion and have something more comfortable and personal life, but probably do not come and feel that comfortable being with the public. But let me tell you one thing. I was only wondering that such an august gathering, people who deal with finance, economics, problems of the people, saying how they things are made, and on top of it, people who are so updated about all that's happening around in the country. What is there that a person like me could talk to them? And as I was coming in the car, Shri Surya Prakash was escorting me to this hall. I asked him, I said, what is that people would be expecting me to talk to them? And he said, कुछ भी बोलिए, अपने जीवन की कोई घटनाएं बताएं. मैंने कहा कि मैं अपने जीवन की घटनाएं तो नहीं बता सकता क्योंकि वो नहीं, but I was only wondering what is there really, because it's all covered. But then it suddenly struck me, what is the time now? It is exactly 5 minutes to 7, and another 8 minutes the plane from Lucknow would be landing at Amritsar. That is exactly the day today that the hijacking took place, that the plane was just going to land at Amritsar. And the day after, on 24th morning, on 24th they had to talk in Dubai, they had gone to Dubai, and then on 25th morning, when I was coming to the office, I was told to proceed to the airport and prepare for leaving for Kandahar. And I had to go to Manesar, where I had my commando team. We had to collect some equipment. We were waiting for the clearance of our aircraft from the Pakistan authorities, who were insisting that they want to know the names of the people, so I had to give them the different names. We had a small party, We knew that it was a difficult area. setting was different. It's a landlocked country. We cannot come and approach that country from any side. Pakistan, in any case, is an enemy country, an adversarial country that won't allow even the Indian Airlines to carry their flights on their this thing they were finding. Since they were abetting the whole thing, they're allowing some of our military aircrafts to go over was an impossibility. We knew that there was a Taliban regime. The airport was covered by them with the tanks. All the Talibani soldiers were there. And Kandahar, even Osama bin Laden's headquarters was there, and he was there. So I had a talk with about 20-25 people, most of them from the Special Forces, all of them from the Special Forces, drawn from the Army and others. I said, we are going on a mission. Our first thing would be that we'll be talking to them. But if the talks don't succeed, there's no way that we can come out. So we are in this thing that we will try to rescue if we can. If not, we will destroy. And we'll see how much we can destroy before we really this thing on that. And I said, obviously we can't come back, because there's no way that we can come back. The first thing they will control is our aircraft. And that everybody was very spirited. Everybody, they said, there's no question. We will take on as many people as we can, and we had some of the best instruments, gadgets, and people were known for good tactics and others. But still, the first attempt was that if we could negotiate and bring down. Anyway, I don't want to carry this story too forward. We had the talk and we negotiated and we talked to them, because we were probably bringing them down from the demand for release of 37 persons and $200 million and the dead body of Sajjad Afghani, his corpse to be taken back from here to Afghanistan. We could bring it from there to the demand only for the release of 3 in the period up to, say, 31st. And we were very keen, at least the people of my team were very keen, that we should continue the pressure and hold on. This was a unique hijacking in which the hijackers were under no pressure. The time was on their side. They could get food. They were in the home territory. There was no pressure on them because there was the eyesight there. There was the Taliban commandos there. There were the entire this thing there. And it was the negotiators who were under the pressure of time. That is, you wind it up. Otherwise, anything can happen anytime. But that was not the big problem. The bigger problem was that the pressure from Delhi, that is by 12 o'clock in the night it has to be finished, new millennium is starting. And back home in the country, everybody wanted, people wanted, the public opinion was there. The relatives were telling that, well, release the people. If it were your own children, you would have released them. You have got no care, and therefore release these 3 people. So anyway, we had a sort of satisfaction in the sense that we had brought it down. There were 3 people, but still I think it was a bad experience. Bad experience, not because we had to release. After all, this is a game in which we release, we kill, we get killed. That's not the problem. The problem is this: the nation felt small. The nation's honor, that is, we had to make a compromise with the evil. Now that is where Swami Vivekananda becomes very, very relevant. He emerged on the Indian stage at a time when majority of the nation had compromised with the evil, had taken it as a fait accompli, had thought that probably there is no way that we will be out. They had even stopped thinking about it. They took a great pride in getting the honors from the British, becoming Rai Bahadurs, Rai Sahabs, Khan Bahadurs. Some people got commissioned in the army, some were Rajas, some were Nawabs. And they were all totally they had totally subjugated their honor to the British Empire. Here was a man who thought and wondered, what about this great civilization? A civilization which had seen the peaks and the troughs, the ups and downs of material prosperity, military glory, decadence and heights. finds itself totally under the ban. And from that emerged a man who was spiritual, but not only spiritual. He was much more than spiritual. He was much more practical. I'll tell you an instance. In 1893, there was a ship that was cruising from Japan to Chicago. There were hundreds of passengers in that. In one of the most expensive cabins was an Indian traveling. And in one of the cheapest fare was another Indian traveling. In the most expensive one was Jamshedji Narswanji Tata, also going from Japan to Chicago. And in the other one was a saffron-clad man, one yogi, Swami Vivekananda. Those days it used to take long time. But somehow there was something about Swami Vivekananda that attracted Jamshedji Tata. So they started talking. Vivekananda asked him, Jamshedji, what for you are going to US and he said that he was going to England again after that. He says, I want to make steel in India. I want to buy the machinery and make steel in India. He said, don't go to make steel in India. Go to bring the science and technology to make steel in India. We were the people who had the great, those things that we had made the steel in this country. The Ashoka stumps are still this thing after thousands of years of this thing, it is still there. But we have lost it. Let us empower the country. Jamshedji was deeply impressed. So when he went to the Britishers and told them that besides finding these things, I would like to have the technology so that we can make the steel ourselves. We have made it for thousands of years back. So Mr. Johnson, who was this thing heading that steel, this thing, he says the steel that you will make, we will have it for our breakfast. That is, you will not be able to make the steel which will have the strength or the hardness that probably could be this thing. He says that Indians will never be able to make it. Jamshedji from there went to America, then had this thing, and then started the Jamshedpur this thing. But that is not only the point. Few years later, Jamshedji Tata wrote a letter to Swami Vivekananda. And that letter has a relevance for this city. That is why I want to take little of your time. I am not reading the whole letter, but a part of it, but some of you who are interested can go to the Google and see this letter. It's a very interesting letter. He says, Dear Swami Vivekananda, I trust you remember me as a fellow traveler on your voyage from Japan to Chicago. There's a gap of 5 years now. Tata has made those things. He has started bringing up the arrangement. Jamshedpur land has been acquired. Things have started moving in these things. But Swami Vivekananda told him, that is, why don't we revive our own science and technology? He was not only an ascetic who was thinking in terms of the spiritual excellence and the great heights that this country and its great geniuses had achieved. He was looking at the future. He was grounded in the past as far as his traditions and his values are concerned, but his eyes and his visions were in the future. He said, I recall your ideas in connection with your scheme of Research Institute of Science in India. I am of the opinion that a crusade in favor of asceticism to promote sciences should be undertaken by a competent leader like you. It will greatly help asceticism, science, and the good name of our beloved country. And I know not who would be a more fitting general of such a campaign than Vivekananda. do you thank the word? And then he thanked and lost him. He sent him his blessings. And it is on the basis of this that in Bangalore, in 1905, the Indian Institute of Sciences, the IISc, was established. People do not know about the letter that Tata had sent before starting this institute to Swami Vivekananda, and the blessings he sought. Now see the contrast, and this is what I was talking to some of the friends before him. The genius of this country lies in bringing the harmony between two extremes. There was an extreme of materialism, there was an extreme of spiritualism. The greatness lies in reconciling these contradictions. That is what Swami Vivekananda was. He was able to see the need for the economic development, emancipation. He wanted to see that a common man is elevated from that position of his total misery to the great height and sublime, where he realizes his existence as a complete divine entity. He knew and he thought, how could I make the potential divinity of a human being, make him realize that you are powerful, you are strong. But he also realized that he will not be able to reach that stage till his stomach is not filled, till he is not clothed, till he hasn't got a shelter, till he has got this thing. So the materialism was necessary. Economic development was necessary. Science and technology was necessary. He said that even you forget about your dogs, serve the Mother India. He brought a new variety of patriotism. It was a revolution in the thoughts of the people, which became the precursor of all that followed thereafter. He was a person who was able to ignite. You know, when we go for a nuclear plant, whether it's for the civilian use or it is for the military use, whether it's for this thing, the most elementary and important and the first thing is how to make the plant critical. That is, how do you get the first atom bombarded by which it becomes this thing. Thereafter it is a cyclic process. It is the people it is he who was able to bring that great transformation and great change. And his vision of India. You know, any progress, any change, any improvement fundamentally requires you are defining two things. And people who are not able to define the two things, they think that their wishes are their plans. Wishes are never the plans. Hopes are never the plans. You may think that, well, you have got a plan of action, that is, you have got this thing, that, well, there should be no poverty in India. That doesn't happen. Poverty remains. Thoughts also remain. They exist, coexist in parallel tracks. The basic of any change is your realistic, correct and objective assessment of where you are. And second is your practical, doable analysis and a firm decision about where you want to be. If I want to go to Delhi, the most important thing for me to know is where I am, whether I am in Bangalore or I am in Lucknow. If I do not have this knowledge or this understanding of where I am, then I don't know whether I should be traveling north or I should be traveling south to reach Delhi. He understood, Swami Vivekananda understood the society of his time. He understood the realities of his time. He understood the potential and he also understood the weaknesses. He was totally against ritualism, the exploitation, casteism, communalism. See the greatness of the man. Which other spiritual leader of the world, politicians can say many things, will say all religions are true. Let any person from any other religion say that. All religions are true. Don't discard any religion and don't say that any religion is wrong. It is true. That was the Catholicity of his thinking and his vision. That is, the spirituality of a man is something which did not start 500 years back or 1400 years back or 2000 years back. It started the day this universe was created. Spirituality is as old as that. That is why it is Sanatan. If the life has come in something, spirituality has generated with that. Even even where the life does not exist, it is part of the larger cosmic energy and a mass which is transforming itself constantly. So there is no point, there was no logic why the Indian society could get stratified in the caste. Why should the people of different religions should be fighting for the causes which probably were not required? He wanted India that was economically strong. He even said, put your gods and goddesses and let them sleep for 50 years. And you know what, when he said that, it was exactly 50 years before, on the day in Chennai, 1947, 15th of August, I think it was 50 years, just 50th anniversary of that lecture, on which he said, within 50 years India will be independent. Problem of India is not how to gain independence. Will India be able to manage that independence? If you have to manage that freedom, that is what India has to prepare itself. That was his vision. That in India, which is a society where there is an harmony, India which is strong, India which is powerful, India where every Indian feels empowered as an embodiment of the God, empowered as a creature created by him with an infinite potential within him. Whereas we find that today, I think I'll come to that point a little later. Now, he had a vision. But that is also not sufficient that he knew where he were. He knew where we want to be. He also had a roadmap. Unfortunately, we left that roadmap. That is where we went wrong. His roadmap was that India should build its future on the basis of its own long historical experience of thousands of years, its civilizational values, and get the best from the West, integrate the two, synthesize it. But the bedrock of India will be its own indigenous civilizational values and its own historical experience. Now what happens? What is a political thought? Political thought is the conceptualization of the historical experience of a society or the countries through which they are able to build up certain theories, certain doctrines, certain philosophies, which they call as a political thought. West went through a particular type of a historical experience, mostly in the last 1,000 years. They had the Industrial Revolution, they had French Revolution, they had Russian Revolution, there was a demand for fraternity, equality, and then their polity also developed. There were Hobbes and Nietzsche and John Stuart Mill and Malthus and all these people, and a Western and Marx and Engels and others, both on the right and the left. And they were able to build a political thought through which they think that they will be able to gain by the political experience of the past, so that they do not do the mistakes what had happened there. That was according to the genius of their own genetics, environment, their climate, their people-to-people relations, and their own traditions. India's historical experience was much longer. But when we get independence, our entire polity got centered around the experience of the West. So we had two streams of thoughts. One which were the little liberals, or which was the rightist school of thought. We believed in John Stuart Mill and Ricardo's and Malthus and these people. And another who took the socialist path starting from Kropotkin into Marx and things like that, etc. They became the two main streams of the political thought, in which the Indian experience was never taken and factored in. That was either in our politics, either in our economics, or in our administration, or in our people-to-people relation, in our social evolution. Everything was dominated by what the West had learned from, say, 14th century, 15th century to 1947, and all the leadership came into the hands of the people who were the product of that education. Probably they were patriots on their own way, but they were patriots from the perspective of the West. Our patriotism is not of the type that the West has got the patriotism. Our patriotism is inclusive. I would like to die not because I have got a vested interest. I would like to die because I can stand for something which I call as dharma. I can uphold this thing of righteousness. For me, I am immortal. I never die. For you, it is only the lifespan from the time of your birth and death, which is this thing only in period of time. According to them, the God has been very generous. It has given you plenty of water, plenty of air. Only thing is that it has given you a very limited survival period to stay in this world. That is the point of time and point of death. Within that, we can divide it in years, months, days, seconds, or whatever is that. And that is all what the life is all about. For us, it neither starts here nor it ends here. For us, material prosperity is not the ultimate. That is one way, which is necessary for our survival, our existential status. It is because we have gone through the historical this thing of the Gupta period, when we probably had, as the medicines, this thing had come, the total global wealth, 75% wealth was in this country. And then again it came down. Again we had the glory, we had again coming down. Now that the new discoveries have found that the Indian history dates back, actually all the dates are now being shifted after the new Saraswati civilization facts have come and the new excavations have taken. In Vivekananda Foundation, we are rewriting the history of ancient India in 13 volumes. Actually 2 volumes will be available shortly. There are about 40 international researchers who had done new researches on new excavations and see that how the Britishers had done a total disservice and suppressed those documents. Fortunately, they did not destroy at least few of them. Even Max Muller had dated the Indus Valley civilization to 8,000 years when he was caught by Pope and said, that is, and nothing can go beyond 2,000 years BC. Because it has got to correspond to the theory of this thing of the Adam and Eve. And then he said that I have come much enlightened man, but a much sadder man. You will be surprised to this thing, and if you are any one of you are interested, since I have got this thing. In 1861, the head of the Cambridge University's history department, Mr. Peacock, wrote a history about India, in which he said how the Indian civilization was preceded by the Greek civilization, and how the large number of the Brahmins from UP and Bihar had gone, and this is in about 3000 BC to the Greek, on which the Greek foundation was formed. And then he has found this thing of it. The entire copies of that book were seized and destroyed. Only one copy was fortunately left, which has now been retrieved. And now that we have got this thing, we are putting it on our net also. And I'll be very happy if some of you would be this thing by Edward Peacock, the book of the Cambridge University. I think in the Google you'll get it. Otherwise, I will send you a book itself. It's by Edward Peacock. You can write it. Then it is about the Greek history, the history of Greeks or something. It is not the Indian history. He's writing actually the Greek history. He was an authority. He had never visited India. He had no this thing with India. He was a researcher and authority of the Greek history. It was in this history. Now this I am telling that there is so much unknown about us. We have never been able to see what we are. We have never been able to judge our real potential in this thing. And when I say we, it is not only collectively as we, but each one of us. Each one of us potentially is an instrument of great transformation and evolution. We just have to convince no one in this world but only ourselves. We can be the instruments of change. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, whatever your age is, you are immortal. And your power is infinite. Because you are part of that infinity. This is what Swami Vivekananda wanted. Look at it, if 125 crore people of this country would have start thinking themselves in that form. If each one of us start becoming selfless, thinking that what is there we can do for others, what is there that we can contribute to our nation, Where is this nation? What is China? We think about this thing of China. It's a forced collectivism. Ours is a collectivism of giving. We think that the purpose of my life is we have come here to give something. It is not something that if I fail to do that, probably somebody is going to punish me, or some party is looking at this thing is scuffing on my shoulders, that it is a dictatorial communist party. It is our culture. We do not exploit the nature. Nature is our mother. It is a Western concept or a paradigm, the exploitation of nature. हम प्रकृति का शोषण नहीं करते, हम प्रकृति का दोहन करते हैं. प्रकृति हमें हमारी माँ है, हमें दूध देती है, हमें पालती है, पोसती है, हम उसकी रक्षा करते हैं. For us, this is our motherland. How can we say that is exploitation of the resources of my mother? It's only a Western thought who can think of it. I would like to plant a tree, I would like to live have my lifestyle. Live in a certain amount of a non-luxury, not misery necessarily. Because this protects my mother. This protects my coming generations. This builds an environment where they can also breathe. It keeps the water pure, where they can also have access to the pure water. It does not finish the resources. So there is plenty for us, and we are happy that as well. We have got, it was written that I have to do this thing by 30 minutes, so I thought I'll just make it 30 minutes. Because spies don't speak, but if they speak, they don't stop. So, we are in the 150th year. It's a great opportunity for reinventing ourselves. The anniversary is starting on 12th of January 2013 and will continue up to 11th of January 2014. The Vivekananda Kendra International, which is then Kanyakumari, and all its other organizations, which include the Vivekananda Foundation in Delhi. We are all getting involved in that. But we want to make it very, very broad-based. Now we have got a much larger committee in which we have got all the organizations. RSS is there. Also all the organizations are there. The representatives are there. They are all doing and thinking how we can take the message, how we can create that enlightenment, how we can energize the people of India, how we can really make them again to realize what they are. It's just a lion who thinks that he's a jackal and behaves like that. You just have to show him, take him to the water, that he realizes and sees that he's a lion, and he starts behaving like that. We have again to become those selfless mouths of nature, those spiritual giants, people with energies. We have got not only the physical energy, we have got the best of the intellectual capital of the world today, which is realized not only by us, but by the world. But our potential is much beyond that. India's biggest resource today is we have the largest youth bulge of the country. And we will have this advantage till 2060. China is aging. Europe has already aged. We have got a young generation coming. If we can